from the community. It's on F54-46 in favour of WG.
I think that's a very fair prediction as well. It's a super close matchup the way I see it.
Yeah. Which way would you go?
I'm actually leaning slightly towards Execration, but I might be super biased in terms of my love for
10 seconds remaining.
Chrissy.
You love him so much, you know his other name.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, I didn't know it was him. I just had so much love for both of them.
You've loved him for a long time, you just didn't even know.
Now I combine that love, and it's even bigger.
Execration's
Shots, which
turn
one?
to ban.
I feel WG's the stronger team, but it's going to come down to the nerves because Execration have more veteran players.
Sorry, do you still think there's going to be nerves?
Yeah. They're a newer team. They're playing in front of the home crowd. I think there's higher expectations on them than ever before now that they've played at a major and done well. And I think Execration have the more veteran captain in Chemo, more veteran players in DJ, as well as other players like Oa, who's like Oa and Nando. These guys have been around for like 10 years playing Dota 1.
Yeah, hasn't Chemo been on Execration for like 3 years now or something?
Oh, he was on TNC.
But yeah, he's
on Execration, I think.
He's been on Execration for a long time.
Maybe that's why.
He played at like a Star Ladder event like 5 years ago for Execration as well. Like, these guys are long-time veterans.
So we do see two fairly traditional pixel bands, the Dark Slit and the Jug, but two we don't always see. Are they targeted?
But this must mean that they know each other pretty well. Like an Omni Knight first ban doesn't seem
a bit odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit out of order. Then we see a lot of DC. We've seen a lot of Legion Commander ban throughout the tournament, but never in the first phase.
Yeah. Does of course let a number of heroes through that have been very strong so far the last 2 days, not least of which Shadow Demon Mirana combo, and the Luna as well.
Yeah. It's nice because you block the SD Luna, but also get a good combo in the SD Mirana. We saw Newbie use this to great effect with like an aggressive tri-lane just yesterday, and it's very flexible where you can lane the Mirana in a 4 position with good synergy in the mid lane. So it doesn't really doesn't force WG Unity to do any set lanes.
Yeah,
no, it's something
they can change up as well during the game if they want to.
Something that Warriors is pretty familiar with as well. Run this combination a number of times. I think the combination with Luna at this point, maybe think about picking up your Rubik, but the unfortunate thing is that a lot of the defensive heroes that are strong versus the Shadow Demon Mirana are not really in vogue in this patch just yet. We saw one Dazzle pick earlier. We haven't seen any Oracles. We saw one Abaddon, and that was pretty disastrous. I think you usually want a little bit more playmaking out of your supports, but in this case, you're probably forced into it.
That's the problem with running into this support duo. It's probably the most potent and versatile support duo of any in terms of where it can be on the map. Just because if you don't want an aggressive tri-lane, you just go in, secure kills on the middle lane. And if you need to support your safe lane, that's easily done as well. So they can pretty much be everywhere on the map and still be successful and always use the time correctly.
And you're always afraid, like you see that SD Mirana, your first thought with your second pick is we're going to secure our Luna's farm, because SD Mirana with any offlane type hero can just wreck a Luna. So you go into this Dazzle pick, you're probably even thinking about your other support being something to protect your safe lane. Like you really got to secure that Luna's farm once that SD Mirana comes out.
And now you're theoretically already playing on the back foot just because you're the one on the receiving end. However, if we look at OG at Frankfurt Major 2015, they actually played this Dazzle combo to great success against, for instance, Virtus Pro, who played a very aggressive style back then. So being able to throttle the aggression from the enemy and turning it on them is a tried and tested combo as well, that when you can then take down objectives afterwards.
Surprised you can remember that far back.
Alchemist, Meepo.
No comeback.
Axe. I mean, that was really low-hanging fruit, right?
It was.
Yeah. We just turned it around back on you.
It was presented, like, and I took the bait.
Axe.
Meepo's gone as well. Okay, that's good.
Team pick.
Yes, Malaysia versus the Philippines. Axe and Elk. We've seen an awful lot of Alchemists.
You want
banned so far, have we?
I think from this, you usually want self-sufficient laners, just in case you do want to go the Shadow Demon Mirana. So having safe laners like, for example, like Lifestealer is a great safe lane carry who doesn't really need a whole lot of help. That frees up your supports to be able to roam around quite a bit. There is still the Slardar, who's been incredibly popular.
And incredibly bad.
Incredibly bad. He's lost like
a 14% win rate. At this
True, but there is a
not
reason
a
that
big
he's
pool
been
of games,
picked,
but
right?
still.
There is still a reason he's been picked.
For Execration, though, I would be sort of regretful having banned out the Juggernaut myself because it's the natural counter for the roaming from the Mirana and Shadow Demon. It's the only hero that can really guarantee not being hit by that combo.
Definitely left some thought for both teams here.
We could pick up just like a tankier style mid. Like
the Dragon Knights, even like an OD type hero has pretty good stats and can be at least somewhat sustainable.
I still feel like the tankier heroes like Viper, DK, and Razor have a lot of value in this patch because they're so good at fighting and they scale better than they used to. In fact, DK, for example, right here would give them just this overwhelming pushing power that would be tough to be able to stop.
They could also attempt running a Wisp on the middle lane and then, if they do aggressive tri-lane, swap the Wisp down there and just keep the Luna alive with all the healing.
That's true. You would need to be able to have disables from your other two cores, but having Wisp Dazzle is not the worst support combination as long as your cores are able to make up for it.
You put the tanking on the offlane and put a Dragon Knight mid. I think that's a lineup that is very potent both in terms of pushing, has some lockdown, 5-on-5 fightability.
It's finally a pick that puts pressure back the other way, because I feel like right now they're just kind of reacting like, oh, they've got this SC Mirana, this is going to really put our lanes under pressure, and finally we see something that now gives WG Uni something to worry about, like, okay, this could be a Sand King Dazzle in the offlane, you pair something like this up there, suddenly they've got to worry and reconsider like their safe lane carry options, as well as where they're supposed
to. That being said, a Lifestealer with the Slark combo is something we see a lot, and Lifestealer does really well against the Sand King if played properly.
If they don't have the Lifestealer and they have almost any other core, I think that you can alternatively as Execration put pressure on because you have this great oppressive offlaner in Sand King who challenges most other carries if left alone. So I think that was a very smart pickup just by itself. And then you could pick up like a hero like, say, Ogre Magi, right? And you can throw that hero with the Sand King. You can run this really harassive aggro duel that would then force the Mirana Shadow Demon up to that top lane. A lot more. That is really interesting because
with the Slardar,
we now see Slardar shift into the support position, and most likely Miranas are mid, and Nyx Assassin is support, or Nyx Assassin is support.
What if it's a one-position Slardar that farms up a blink super quick just to put out early game aggression?
I mean, that could be that's also possible, but then you need either a really hardcore mid laner who scales, or you need a heavy pushing mid laner, because you would then have initiation from both your Slardar and Nyx Assassin. You have this great fighting power and everything, but you really do not have ways to be able to shove down towers without fighting. And Execration, it's not like they're lacking team fight of their own. They've got huge team fight capabilities with Epicenter as well as Lunasult.
So you convinced it's a mid Mirana?
I feel Slardar is the best hero in the support position of this pick.
Yeah, I think the idea of having a core Slardar in the one position just really limits their, like, how do you win the game? You've got nothing to really push buildings with. You've got to get that blink and then just snowball off the kills, but you can't transition out of that into taking objectives. Perhaps with like a SFOD, some kind of carry mid type pick, that changes, but it seems much higher risk for them to run that kind of play.
And Sand King's like a playmaking offlaner, right? So he's a playmaking dark
He's no longer the offlaner though.
No, he's no longer the offlaner, but they had to think about that, right? In which case Slardar as a safe laner against that would not work very well. More teamfight ultimates. Remember we were talking about like the game's pretty fast, so long cooldowns are not necessarily preferred. Execration are taking the exact opposite approach here, and they're always going to have a big teamfight ultimate available.
Well, they can win a teamfight without even when like a Tide Ravage is down if they have Epicenter and Eclipse is the thing. Like looking at their teamfight, they are so vastly superior. All it takes is one or two of those ultimates, not all three.
Yeah, because WG Unity have again no pushing power here. Like they can constantly go and they can constantly fight, yes, but you're facing into a later game Luna with a Dazzle behind it, very strong initiators in Sand King and Tidehunter in the late game as well. The late game secured for Execration most likely, so if they just make sure they win one fight in every 3 when you're trying to go into them, like they don't have to win, like they don't have to go even. They can actually like lose 2 fights and just win 1, and that's good enough for them. Yeah, just because WG Unity can't actually take towers fast enough. So
WG Uni really needs some way to just avoid fights at this point. I feel like they need to go that more split push approach where they just don't fight into the ultimates, get something like a Morphling, Naga Siren. It really has to be. They can't win the team fight. No pick really matches up to the Tide, Sand King, Luna.
If this Tide gets farmed, has like Greaves and maybe even a pipe, how do they ever kill him with the support of a Shadow Priest?
And the scary thing is there's a Luna thing behind hitting your buildings too, and you fighting into that is going to get really tricky.
10
A
seconds
wall
remaining.
of tide. I had no follow-up on
5
wall.
seconds
He's
remaining.
a watermelon. Oh, a watermelon.
I think
Reserve
you
time.
mentioned Morphling. I'm trying to think of what other carries that would work for WG Unity.
It's one of those heroes
Shift
that
into the late game.
it split pushes, but it doesn't. Its
Team
timing
pick.
comes too late. Like you're gonna get pushed down before that Morphling can really pose a threat. It feels like WG Unity, like Execration almost wants WG Unity to take them off because they feel like their timing is going to come so much earlier.
Yeah, and the Dragonite just
This front line
dumps on Morphling pretty hard.
This front line from Execration
10
is so hard to
seconds
deal with that
remaining.
it'll never, like, VG Unity can never get to the Luna. How are they ever
5
gonna get to that
seconds
backline?
remaining.
I think WG Unity's best option here is just try and snowball and they pick up like a gyrocopter or something. I think they are very much backed into a wall by their draft.
Yeah. I think that Nyx Assassin pick was
Questionable.
It's not good against any of the heroes. It's not like you're versing some kind of hero that, like an OD or a Bat Rider that counters. I was really thrown off by it.
It's beginning of the end for them.
Yeah, it's like
I'd be
Spike
very
Carapace is
surprised
just
if
kind
they
of
can deal with
okay.
this. There's just so much
Drow
tank on
Ranger.
Execration.
Drow. There's
Oh,
it's earlier timing, I guess, but I mean it helps them around and be a bit stronger in the mid lane. But it's not like a conventional Drow start where you're going to hit this timing and just push down buildings early on.
No, I definitely heavily favor Execration's lineup. I love it a lot, actually. I think it's one of the most well-rounded lineups we've seen so far in the tournament.
Okay. Strong draft then from Execration. Let's find out what our commentary team think of that as we head in to the first game of our second series of day 2 here at ESL 1 Genting.
You know, Malini, it's not surprising that Jacob really likes this draft because this draft is from 3 years ago.
Yeah, he was saying some stuff on that panel. It was like, oh, Beastmaster Venge Drow. I was like, what?
Yeah, let's go back to the old-fashioned aura strats. That's what it's all about.
Anyways,
Yeah,
I was very surprised to see a Drow come out last. I didn't
Yeah.
really expect it to fit the pace, especially against the push of the DK and the Luna, but hopefully they can pull it out.
Prepare
well,
for
God starts
battle.
to talk about maybe it's a little bit more about the earlier timing. Is that the idea behind it? Not looking for the boost up on the, at least on the Mirana, unless you're going to see EE style Mirana appear for WG, but maybe just give you that little bit of extra push into the tier 1 towers earlier.
It's just very difficult though versus Luna. I think Luna can maybe push a little bit earlier, at least better at 5 manning, I would say, than a Drow Ranger, although Drow does apply way more split pressure. I think that's the most disappointing I've ever seen you when a Drow was picked.
Well, normally I'm looking for the combinations to work with it. I'm looking for the early push. But what I do like actually is at least the matchup. Tidehunter doesn't have an easy time up against the Drow once she's able to get that second level up in the ice arrows, and having the easy roaming combination of the SC lets them up right exactly this. Disruption in, they go for the crush and then into the arrow with the extra stun. They'll even get a little hit down to Gabby, but as WG this spills the first blood.
I wondered if he was considering skilling up Kraken Shell. Might have saved him 600 damage special, probably not.
I don't destroyed his laning phase as well.
Yeah.
Instead, so WG, with the death of that Tidehunter, this opens the bump to at least get 2 of the runes, but they don't get them all.
Begins.
You've already got SK sitting on top of the rune, and that's up next to Dire Shop. So Nana can say hello. Kangaroo's in the neighborhood too, but this is going to be the dual lane, or at least the dual supports roaming around with the SK as well as the Dazzle.
Well, they traded. The Shadow Demon got the left side rune, so 2 for each team.
So into the lanes we go, and Nyx Assassin off lane. Haven't seen much of that this tournament, if at all. How's it meant to work up against this, at the moment, a defensive trial lane?
It was unusual when they picked it up. I believe it was just versus like the Sand King Luna +1, and normally you'll see it back. I would say it's by far the most common. Sometimes OD and like Quap. But versus their lineup, it doesn't seem particularly good. Like, how are you going to actually force the DK down? Your Vendetta and your combo is only going to do like 400 damage to him.
That's why I'm wondering if he's more there to try and bring down the supports, like take care of that Dazzle, take care of maybe the SK.
It's very difficult though, because I think later on in the game, Execration is going to goof up. Their lineup is completely built for that. The Dazzle for the same, the Luna and the DK push.
Kangaro's in a lot of trouble, and there isn't actually a lot of way out of this one. He'll turn for a triple stun, but already dead. Nyx is actually mocking up. Who just walks straight to the middle of them. They go for another Burrow Strike, already with the Poison Touch. The Slaughter's not going to be very healthy. Tanks a lot of damage here. This would make more sense if you're just going to move over to the shrine if Nick's assassin was still alive, but he's not.
I'd like to see an early Lightstone pickup on the Dazzle. Sometimes you'll see that in this type of lane where you're just very physical based, especially with the Luna, and it also helps with the tower pushing because Luna almost never buys a Lightstone to aid in the tower push. But I'm not sure if he's going to be rich enough. As cheap as it is, it's still a luxury item for him.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a sacrifice for someone like the SK who went boots first, so he's already gone for the rather greedier style of build. DJ's at least getting a little bit of experience up on top lane. This is something which is going to change for him, and I look towards the stacks of Execration at that point because Ajit is going to be all over him. He's already got the wand as well as boots, and the cold arrow levels are going to start coming very soon too. Gabby, okay, that's dropping low.
But there's only one hero up there. I would like to see the Tidehunter, like, you know, sometimes you just go up there a little bit more just to make sure that
Courier, if he can get to it. Looks like Arfu's going to be finding the DK, but SD never actually made his little play over. And Gabby will just trigger off the shrine.
Do you think Shrine should have a hotkey? It's been a hotly disputed thing.
As long as you can do it nice and quick on the ones. Okay, bottom lane, Kanga's in even more trouble. They've still got to lose a beam available, so he's not going to get back under, or maybe with his Spike Carapace and the follow-up stun. Kanga, no, he's going to go down. SK still with too much power, having that caustic there for the extra burst. And required one more hit to get the kill, and yeah, you could lean towards the shrine, so you just stop clicking it off. Maybe priority for the laners, so the off laners doesn't have a support to trigger it randomly. Gabby is in a lot of hurt. Start with disruption. You got the arrow. You're going to start off with that one, so it's a little bit more different to the last one before, and then follow in with a crush. Still not enough damage trying to attack uphill. Even with the double damage room that's over on Nana, maybe it is. Gabby took a long time to get away from the edge of the cliff, so he'll go down. Arfu's coming back in again too. He has the crush available, looking towards the SK, but he misses the crush. The damage is still potentially there from Nana, but he can't go onto the tier 1 tower. Not with the life that he's got.
That was a 2-unit trap with the disruption. That's very hard to pull off. I've seen 3 before in like open area, but this was right next to the cliff, and his teammates didn't really know that he was trapped, or it seemed like none of them helped him kill the Lunas at all, just waiting for it to time out, but those last for 8 seconds. And they didn't miss on that uphill last hit. But normally it would be extremely difficult to kill that DK. He almost survived throughout that entire thing.
But they don't find the kills on the rest of WG, so they move over, they shrine up, and then go straight back into the laning phase once again.
They need to get a lot of kills. You need to slow down the Luna timing as much as possible.
Well, they're doing that pretty nicely, and they're doing it without having to commit any heroes to protect the Drow Ranger. Tidehunter, DJ's managed to hit his level 4, so at least with that, they've found space for the Tide. But Drow, when she hits that level 6, this Tide has to move off the lane. Any kind of support rotates over, he should be dead.
I think it's okay though, because the Shadow Demon and the Muerta, you want to split these two up as much as possible. You want the Shadow Demon to be up top, forcing the Tidehunter out a little bit, but like as of right now, the Tide isn't getting that much, Drow is getting a lot, and they're getting killed on the opposite side of the map. So this early game I think is shaping up to be much better than expected for WG Unity.
You can just keep that momentum going. But again, these 3 heroes grouping up from Execration on the bottom lane. If they really want to force into the tower, there's still a lot of life to get through from the Nyx Assassin and Slark if they want to try and pressure into the building.
Yeah, Nyx Assassin went with a 2 carapace build. I think it's by far the better build in this lane. You don't want the 1 point in the mana burn. Very, very useless.
Arjit, I'm waiting for him now to do it. He just cracked his level 6. So this is what I was waiting for him. This is what I was waiting for Tidehunter to die. He's still got his Gust available as well if he wants to use it. So DJ into the tree line. Arjit's going to find it, loses a lot of his damage because he gets hit by the Anchor Smash. But those 3 points up in cold arrows already, it does the work. But bottom lane, a great initiation with the stun. You got the Fire Assault create a little bit of space in Shallow Grave, maybe also some time. The time is not really on their side. The kill still happens up on the top where the SD rotated in, but Nana going underneath the tower. The SK with the Fire Strike, Nana's in too deep, leaps away. The tower attack's still going to follow him up. With the bolt charges, he's getting a little bit more life back. Lost that movement speed in a bit, and the Burrow Strike. SK trying to catch up from the TP coming over the shrines, but SK already finished the job.
Maybe he didn't see that stick, just thinking, oh, there's no way he can stun me, but he had stick charges right there. It definitely helps that Drow Ranger was level 6, now level 7 for that engagement. That 1 extra right click from the Muerta. She didn't have to blow her leap early to finish off the Dazzle. made a big difference.
Not this time.
Can't take my eyes off this top lane for the moment. I'm wondering if WG even try and force the lane down. Ty can drag the creep wave back out, but if you've got SD illusions, maybe they can do more. But this bottom lane pressure with Gabby down here, the tier 1 tower is just, it's being peppered too much. WG need to do something about this if they want to hold their tier 1. It's either that or they look for some kind of other gank, and that's potentially in the middle lane, which is exactly what happens. Disruption, arrow flies down, and he gets perfectly 5 seconds done. And the SK will evaporate. Gabby is still trying to force that tier 1 tower on bot lane. But now losing the extra hero, they realize where the gank happened.
I think it's cool that they're using the Drow as a sort of fighter too. She, as you mentioned, the max cold arrows instead of maxing the precision aura. 1 point already gives you 20%, and then the last 3 points give you 18% total. So it's actually quite the value point, but not a very common build.
Middle lane, he says he has enough mana if he wants to use it. He'll need more help. Ravage is enough to do his work as Afu, while the stuns create more space on bottom lane. The support's finally coming into that middle lane. Fire Strike and the Ravage is still there. They committed, but Mirana, she's got leap into 1 charge. It goes up the hill, and Nana is away. Execration without the lockdown, but SK does have the movement speed until he stops and just watches Nana walk.
Only level 2 stun. It's been desperately trying to pick up some levels.
He still didn't have any other friends to help him out. They all back down. Disruption, and again, we're going to do this. Arrow, it looked a little too early, but it still hits the mark. SK will drop, and this will be a tier 1 tower to boot. With no Ravage, they can't fight.
This is their second tower, so the team without the DK Luna is actually ahead. Maybe this is what they were talking about with the Drow pick. It's going to hit a little bit earlier, especially if they can pressure the lanes so hard. I really like the movement from the support duo from WG. The Shadow Demon is just pressuring all 3 lanes. It's not like the organized type of push that you want from Execration. It's like, okay, every single timing with Eclipse, with Dragon Form, you go down, you take a tower, you farm, do whatever for a few minutes, and then you just repeat once your ultimates are up. But they haven't really been able to do that. The team's been a little bit staggered. They haven't even used Eclipse yet. Ravage didn't yield that prize Mirana kill that they're looking for.
Without the Ravage, we're talking about Luna. This could be real trouble for Nando. So much slow with the crush. Not to mention of extra health. It's going to be WG bringing him down. Now, does Execration just let this tower go? Because right now, they're staring down the barrel, losing all their tier 1 towers by the 10-minute mark, with Drow Ranger appearing on bottom.
You're going to lose Roche very soon, though, if you lose this. It just takes one bad Ravage, or a Ravage just like we saw on the Muerta, to yield something like that. So this will be the 3rd tower, it looks like, already.
Yeah. That's what I'm just wondering, how do you even defend it? Like, they go for the opposite thing. They go for the DK to move to top, use that Dragon Form to try and force down the lane.
Generally, you group up as 5, but their other lanes are just pushed so far in that they can't actually do that. So they're gonna have to group up as a few. But Nyx is sick. They don't put sentries down.
Well, look for the stun. The arrow is able to connect. They just hold him there. Now it's up to Mirana to tank through a lot of the damage from her. She's still got 1 charges plus the Moonlight Shadow. In comes the SK having to create space. Alfu looking for the perfect rush. Couldn't get it. They're still underneath that sentry ward, and it doesn't work for DK. Tidehunter is here. Ravage is in 6 seconds time, and 6 seconds may be a little bit too far out, especially when Argent arrives at the front. And 1 second, the gust hits 4 heroes. They're not looking to dive under the tier 1 tower. They want to still stay fighting underneath that sentry.
Dragon Form is almost down. They're going to have to press this pretty aggressively if they want this tower. Clip is down, so
they're in range for a 2-hit Ravage. DJ lets it rip. Aim hit the Nyx Assassin plus the SD Fire Strike, making sure SD can't go anywhere, or maybe he can with the Pudge and the Cold Arrows. He gets Disruption off. Nova's on the run out of here. DJ dropping down low. Argent changes his target, kill off the Dazzle with a Starfall from Nana. They have enough damage, so the DK will fall as well. They lose almost the whole kit in Caboodle, but none. You have Nando on the bottom lane.
Oh my god, X-Nova was so farm, but you don't expect the Shadow Demon to be that tanky. Like, he had raindrops, he's like pretty high up there in net worth because of all these towers. He's very similar to the Tidehunter. In terms of net worth, they thought they were just going to be able to get that kill, but because they had a press for that last 100, 150 HP, they were in a terrible, terrible spot as Mirana came in.
Bottom lane, I don't think Nando even realized what was coming his way. Kangaroo, does he try and go for the hit? You've got Slark coming in, he likes to get the Vendetta, hit the crush, he's out of position! This will allow for the Eclipse to hit, the almost ends up killing him. There's a shallow grave to protect the Luna, to follow into that elusive Fiend. So they already pick up the Nyx Assassin. Apu still on the run. Oh boy, that Fire Carapace could have bit the Luna in the butt, but it still works for him. As Luna survives, finds a much-needed kill in space.
Yeah, they scanned there, so they were more than ready for that. I thought they were about to drop a sentry, but Nando was in that critical HP range that was just too enticing.
It's almost like you just having the faith of the Dazzle to be right behind you.
Yeah, normally you're like, okay, whatever, at least we got the Luna, but yeah, even if you know that they're probably going to counter gank you.
Gold for me.
Well, so this is now the first time where WG is not the one creating space with kills. Execration is still grouped up as 4. The Tidehunter is the only one who's kind of out by himself, trying to complete up that mechanism. This will give a little bit more power for Execration to do that 5-man maneuver you're talking about.
Yeah, they're actually not as strong in the team fight just because WG has such a good early game. And Marana has her scepter completed. Looking at her stash, my goodness. That's crazy. 6 kills, 12 minutes in is one of the earlier timings that you'll see. Yeah, they're actually in a lot of trouble, and he's going for a Mech Knight of Pipe, so this double Starfall is going to make quick work of the Dragon Knight, and Luna has a bit of HP, but she is going to be a prime target to burst down.
Even with that little bit of HP, it's the fact that Drow Ranger is also progressing very, very quickly. Went for the extra stats, giving out that bonus damage to 58, so even though Nana's got a lot of magical burst damage, you've also got that physical damage behind him too.
Yep.
On top of the haze, which you get out from Slaughter. So everything just starts to amplify.
Execration is also just spread thin. They can't afford armor items, like they're trying to in the mech. But they can buy Blast, like Medallion. They also want probably BKBs at some point to deal with the Nyx.
Night Shadow, they're coming in close. There's a sentry ward inside the lane. Nana just starts off with the Starfall, gets through the creep wave. Thanks to the Observer and Sentry down from Execration, they do understand the Nyx Assassin is hovering around behind them.
I like how they're positioned though. They're playing very well around the Ravage. Like, bad positioning is everyone sitting behind the tower, but they have a couple in lane, a couple on the right side, Nyx trying to swoop in from behind just to make it a multi-pronged attack, which makes it very difficult for even a hero like Zanking, I think, to get a good initiation.
So then you have Epicenter as well as Ravage become a bit of a...
There you go. Right next to the Roshan pit, but if they see Luna up top, they know that they're not in Roche, so they're not scared.
Instead, maybe they're wondering about any kind of aggressive ward, but it was just the movement up to get the rune, nothing more.
Yeah, they know about that timing that they need to get the Blink Dagger on the Slardar, because he's very likely to die in these fights. Because he's kind of their primary strength hero that's going to be in the middle of the fray.
The hunt is on again. Nyx Assassin may become the prey. There's a sentry ward there. Trying to fade it deeper into it. There starts off with Iron Strike. Arrows flying in. 2 with the gun, hitting on 3. Nyx Assassin, Fire Carapace, creates space. In for the double stun. Archie can now do a little bit of work. You've also got the Dazzle in through the rear. He's got Telegraph and Dazzle. Has a self-grave. Who took so much damage from the Starfall of Nana. And Archie needs to back out of here before another Dragon Tail starts to be thrown. And they were able to do so, so Dragon Form is baited.
Jet with these gusts, though. It just could not be at a better time.
Radiant's
even losing the next one would be the worst thing in the world because he is only level 7, so he'd respawn in probably 30 seconds. And it's still, Apu didn't even TP in. He knows that his priority is getting this Blink Dagger. If Nyx dies, it's okay, as long as he gets his Blink Dagger next 1 or 2 minutes, or else it's going to be like 20-25 minute timing.
Yeah. But the only time he came over was maybe at the end where he can get a quick pick off, and that would have almost like get into his Blink Dagger, but bring him very close to it.
Yeah, they also just don't have that good of a catch. The Sand King on the opposite side is also working on his Blink Dagger, but he's very, very far away. Without the Sand King jump, they just don't really have any threats to worry about.
I'm liking the efficiency build coming in from the Drow. So you went for the Dragonlance as well as the Yasha, and you're not completing either into like the full Hurricane, or even into the Manta. He's already looking to go straight into the BKB. So then Ravage and Epi become a complete non-factor.
I also like the Max Cold Arrow build. He was doing the Ancients, and now that they're not magic immune, it actually makes it much easier for her to do it without Lifesteal. So normally you'll only see Drows do it with what before was the old time with the Dominator. But now you don't need Lifesteal, you don't need Max Madness, you can just right-click it down. Kite.
Advantage of the Drow. A little bit more complicated to play than just the easy stuff. Casual Morbid Mask style.
The prize is mine.
I still think Mask of Madness is decent on her, but maybe not with the Frost Arrows.
It's just more efficient with your transition of items, because you're not going to hold on to the Mask of Madness into the late game.
Yeah. But the attack speed.
The attack speed is beautiful. And then you get like, then you hit level 15 and you get plus 20 attack speed anyway.
Or you could just get Muerta to get the leap talent.
Yeah, that will also help. We haven't even... If this game does go long, that'll probably be even a scarier thing for Execration. The fact that you could still work your way into something like an Aghanim Scepter with the already powerful Drow Ranger plus a buff up from a Muerta. I don't think anyone will want to face up against that.
Her that's really good. I tried it out one time, I was like, what? 350? Yeah. It's like, is 350 really that much? But when you see it, they just move so far back, and that late in the game, BKBs are generally quite low. So Gust is very, very strong.
But you needed something like that. Like Drow always had those issues of one hero that was just so like up in the face, the Slark, the PAs, things like that, the clockworks. So it was her escape. Easy rush out for WG, they'll put the Aegis Immortal into the Drow Ranger. And they will keep the status quo because the status quo is very much in their favor.
Not looking good for Execration though. They want to fight with a Tidehunter. Like, when have we seen like a big Ravage Eclipse? It just hasn't happened yet this game. They haven't been given the opportunity to do so, and now they just feel scared. Like, if we push and then we fail with our ultimates, we'll probably just lose the game. But if they don't strike now, when are they actually going to hit?
Yeah.
Maybe in between the next Aegis, I would say.
I'll take that.
That's still a long time to be down and just let everyone else farm up.
Yeah.
Because then you want to push, but by that point, everyone's going to have their BKBs. And actually, Drow Ranger changed her item build. She is going to finish up the Hurricane Pike. So she actually bypassed going for the BKB. Well, with the Aegis Immortal, it makes sense. If Execration aren't going to fight you for the next 5 minutes, you'll have more than enough time to farm up the rest of the BKB on Arjun.
Yep. And it looks like this will be the time for Execration to start making their first move. No Blink Dagger yet on the Tidehunter, but they do have one on the Sand King in the back line, and now they're wrapping around behind the end.
This is a great position for them if they can catch out WG's back line, but at the same time, that's exactly what WG is looking for. They're pushing in deeper into that Radiant jungle, and the smoke, well, it's not going to last so much longer if well, there's the break. They get close enough to the SD. Now Moonlight Shadow triggers for WG. They realize what's up. A quick sentry walk. Arjun walking in range. He's going to get crushed up. He's already over the Tidehunter. If he can keep that DJ will get the Ravage off. It's quite deep. It's getting into the work with the freeze fire. The epicenter. The damage is huge. Turn on the Eclipse as well. A 2-for-1 trade-off. Arjun still keeping that distance thanks to X-Nova. They can turn around a little bit. No, they'll burn the Aegis with the Immortal. They'll come back to life again in a second, but no real friends around apart from Nana jumps in for the double starfall. The damage is enough. No, 76, 65 life in the tree line. The arrow even searching for Nando. He's still alive on 29. Find the TP. It won't be in time. But Gabby is his way through. They already found the other kill onto the Drow Ranger, and now it's all up to the death of the Muerta, and they're going to get her. Gabby will survive, and Execration will come out on top of the fight.
WG were just not prepared for that Ravage. I think the Slaughter blinked in, the Muerta leapt in, and then she blinked out, or she blinked in and then she leapt out. But their two supports just got eliminated by that Tidehunter, and then it was 3v5. And even with the Aegis, it wasn't enough.
Speaking of the Tidehunter, he has no TP, he has no real mana to work with, and Arthur is also coming
blink
side. Oh, okay. Well, he's got that to work with. Into the trees, but he didn't go down far enough, so it is a dead DJ.
It's okay, he doesn't lose any gold.
I was actually waiting for the timing on the gust from the Drow Ranger. Like, she was attacking into the Tidehunter before that line.
Yeah.
But it never came.
I thought they were going to gust the Tide and then go on everyone else, which would have been, I think, the best thing for them to do. Like, if you're attacking the Tidehunter, he's just guaranteed he has Ravage off because Kraken shit's going to proc. So that was a little strange. But they also had several wards right on top of them. I think it expired like during the fight, but during the beginning of the fight, they definitely saw the smoke bomb and the supports there. But I don't think the Drow Ranger was on the same page with the rest of the team, because Muerta also went for the backline. Starter also went for the backline. It was only the Drow Ranger attacking the Tidehunter. Yeah. And I think they really expected the same thing. They were clumped up, expecting Ravage to not be available.
Yeah. And then WG would have had to struggle with fine, but instead they group up as 4 with that small little skirmish up on the top, but so much damage from a Drow range with the illusions from the SD. And a catapult behind you. DJ has to do something about it. So be the tier 2 tower potentially denied. But this is what WG want. WG could easily gain control of this map. Let's take out tower by tower. That's what the Drow is meant to achieve.
I think denying is not that Gabby.
This looks a little bit optimistic. Spy Carapace TP out. SK gets there just in the nick of time with a blink forward. And the kill. They catch out the Nyx Assassin. Thought he was fine with the Spy Carapace, especially when Dragon tells the initiation of the DK.
Yeah, with the blink on the DK, they can actually just get a hold of the Drow Ranger space. And I think he's tanky enough that he doesn't actually have to worry about like the amp right click nor the Muerta double starfall. And if he can get to that point where he can just blink with or without BKB onto the Drow Ranger and then put after, they're going to be in a really bad spot. They might need another force stab to help out the Drow Ranger, or better, a BKB on them.
Yeah, the BKB timing is what we're looking at, and maybe that fight also would be very different if he didn't follow the Hurricane as opposed to going for the BKB. Same for Nana. Now Nana has to Moonlight Shadow and get away. He is far enough away that they won't be able to use any kind of detection on her. But the pressure onto the top lane now creates more space. So the Slark is getting his space on bottom lane. He's also got BKB on his wish list. And Nana just needs another 200, and he's got his.
The BKB is one approach. Another approach that some teams do is the Silver Edge. If you can Silver Edge the DK, firstly, he can't just destroy your Drow Ranger, and secondly, you get rid of the Dragon Claw, so you can just turn around. With Amp, he's going to be well into the negatives, I would say. So that might be something that you're looking for in the later game. Another option is to go for a Scepter split push build, so you don't actually have to fight in the team fight. That was before the Blink Dagger on the Tidehunter. Now that he has that, and they have a lot more farm with the Luna and DK, who've been constantly farming the Ancients, like, I think they're at a huge disadvantage in the 5-on-5. That was with the Aegis, so without the Aegis, and with BKBs, it might be a little bit even, but at the same time, I think they have probably, actually, I don't even know if they have better late game, so that might not be the best choice for them.
Yeah, both teams actually have a lot to work with. We've seen, you can look at MP's performance of Luna earlier on in this tournament, just how much work a Luna can do when you're, I think they were like 20,000 behind, and they were still able to hold their own and almost bring back the game. Yeah, so never underestimate the late game power that comes from the Luna.
The thing about Luna is if you just take like one or two heroes down, like actually fighting at your T3s is very disadvantageous because the glaive just bounce in between the buildings, and it's very difficult to actually approach the Luna. I think that's why she's one of the best heroes right now.
Well, Execration going to start the push into the Tier 2 tower a bit. PG not in the greatest position to try and fight it yet, but they do have that BKB over on Muerta. Pro range is still short of her own, and they're chasing a Tidehunter illusion to the top. But DJ waits for the tree line right behind his DK, and they can keep going. The arrow flies in, a 5-second stun actually on Nintendo, but no one's going to follow into this.
Yeah, they still have a healthy amount of time left on the Dragon form, but it looks like they don't want to lose any more structures.
Yeah, they're moving up to defend the top lane. SD's already doing his SD illusion thing. He's not using a Luna, he's using the Drow instead.
Yeah, he needs to be able to get the Luna, so I think actually getting Blink Dagger on him is a very priority this game, so he can keep on doing it on board and perhaps force her to get a BKB, which would be ideal if you're a WG. Execration, I think they're just comfortable constantly farming up the Ancients. They have the HAV. They've been power farming the Ancients for a good 10 minutes or so. Luna was well behind the Drow Ranger, now she's further ahead, closing in on the Muerta.
Thought it was just a little bit late there. DK realized what was going on, and he backed out as quickly as possible. Execration very tight together. Fight with the Ravage, fight with the mech. Never give WG the real opportunity to get the advantage early on in the fight. Use their big stuns and burst damage. If I say burst damage, I'm meaning the big physical damage which comes out.
It's getting a little scary. WG have their BKBs, but if they don't pop their BKBs before the Ravage, they'll get stuck off or Epicenter during the Ravage and all die. So I don't really think they want to take that risk right now, because a fight like that could mean multiple buybacks and potentially a game-ending push with the Luna. So it's much safer for them to at least wait for the Aegis. I think that Execration can't take it out that fast. They don't have the amp available to them.
But also grabbing the Aegis, like Execration have that shrine right next to it, so if they want to buy back and they want to contest Roshan, they have everything they really need to do so.
Buybacks aren't as strong for them though, for WG, because once their ultimates are down, it's like if Titanhunter buys back, it's not that big a deal. Luna won't have Eclipse.
Oh,
no
so
Dragon Knight.
close. He blinked over the top. The arrow flying out from the tree line, and now they realize exactly where he is. And this is a very, very dead Muerta. He leaps up, and no! The SK was waiting. The damage was already being done from the Shadow Poison.
Theoretically, BKB TP would be great. He was in the middle of 4 or 5 heroes.
Small issues, but allows Execration to force into the tier 2 down up on top lane.
They need some damage on the T3 on bottom. Nix is the one there, and if at least get some free damage while you're waiting for the Muerta to wait, but they might want him for the base defense.
Oh, they're gonna need him. There's no Muerta for 40 seconds, but no buyback available. This is all up to WG to keep him out. Apu's in a good position to get a good blink crush off if they realize this. But the SD illusions of Drow also mopped up most of the top 3 waves pushing him, but now this is what we're talking about with the siege. The Luna plays bounce off through, and the Ravage is huge, hitting on 4 with a loser Fiend, and the follow up. Minecraft please keep the position a little bit longer, but the Clay is doing so much work, and Arjun can't do any real big level of damage. He did it on the DK, who just armor toggles it back out. They need to get some extra kills now. Execration are bailing as quickly as they possibly can. The weave will hit on WG, and they just turn on the Eclipse. Apu gets some space, but in comes Nick Assassin, the double stun with the fire camera, let's go from all the Burrow Strike is in, and here we go, we one-on-one. Maybe Arjun can push the SK, he can with that gust out of the sandstorm. But the Slaughter, blind blink crush, looking for the TPs out. Able to get the haze onto the Dazzle, but more movement, still 6 seconds until the Hurricane tries to pull up for a range against range, and it won't matter. The arrow will connect, the Dazzle will fall. The range Rax was removed up on top lane, but some costly buybacks from WG.
Yeah, they had a retreat because the weave fell off. Like, with the weave up, their right clicks were futile, especially without the Muerta down. So, at the end of the day, with the buybacks, I would say slight edge to WG because they did lose the Mix, and they also will get Mushon. Yeah, and that was without actually, that's a decent position. That was a great routing by DJ. Like, you want to do it, like, right before, like, if you do it after a DK initiation, everyone's going to BKB. So you want to do it when, like, nothing's really happening, because that's really difficult to BKB. Like, even some of them were, like, at the edge of the Ravage, but they still weren't able to BKB it because, like, how many of us are over here?
I'm actually wondering too how WG handled the next fight with Nando having a 10-second BKB on that Luna. Like, DJ's getting very aggressive up in the face of Drow.
I really like that initiation though from Slark. Like,
oh, Nana, he jumped in, Gabby in dragon form. He was moving up on the cover of Invis, but that BKB will protect the blink crush. DJ gets a good anchor smash off. Drow Rage will break free with her own BKB, but the damage output not really that terrific at the moment. Gabby wants to find something to Pyro Strike, but Nana blinks away in just in time. But Slaughter is in more trouble. Stunned up, Loser Beam holds him in position. They can move over towards the Drow Ranger. If that stun from the Nyx Assassin doesn't do so much work, not to mention the arrow onto the Dazzle. There's no Shallow Grave available from him. They're not actually killing him off, so he can grave up, and he does it over on Gabby. They didn't focus down the target, so give Gabby a little bit more time to be in the Nana, but it's Archie doing so much work on the Drow Ranger. Just sitting in the back lines. And Execration able to complete the kills they wanted the Muerta a while out, but the gust is too big. Titan up until now, he breaks free with the Ravage hitting on 2. SK's back in with the arrow. He connects on DJ. The follow-up comes through the perfect position to hop through. And he'll also find the cycle willing. SK Burrow strikes out for the Nyx Assassin. Spine Carrot with another spanner in the works. And WG not only on top of this fight, they dominated, and now they're the ones attacking into the base of Execration.
Execration smelled blood. They almost had the stun on the Muerta, but then she blinked out and just lured them to that position after the Luna BKB had already expired. Maybe they thought the Ravage was about to come up because it was really close to being off cooldown, but Muerta just did incredible amounts of damage that fight and kind of into oblivion.
And you see just how fast WG can push. They win one fight and they take the entire mid-racks.
They need more items on the Luna. I think Butterfly is mandatory, I think, before the next big fight for her. And probably AC, I would say, on the Dragon Knight, maybe a Mjolnir item for I think would be acceptable for them, but I think they're lacking in terms of damage. Like, a lot of it is actually from the Tidehunter Epicenter, or Tidehunter and Epicenter combo from them, and this is where you need your other cores to start doing damage because of the BKBs out on the Dire side. And Nyx Assassin's still proving to be useful despite not being an excellent matchup versus any of their heroes. Just the constant stuns and thorn in their side once their BKBs are down.
Looks like he just stops Execration from following all the time. Like you come in, you get your epicenter off, and then you got to stay in one position.
Yeah, he just like blinks at him all of it. Like, yeah.
Like, oh, you got enough life to tank through it. Nyx Assassin's getting a lot of money. He's actually picking up a 4-star, so he can come in, get that Spike Carapace off, and then still get away to safety soon.
They also need to save the Drow Ranger. I think it's very important that she stays alive. She dies in most of these fights, and she's had the Aegis and her own 4-stab and BKB. So I think additional tools are necessary. The Flare Cape I think would be very useful if they can.
It's kind of funny when we say such a thing, and then you look at it when she bypasses. Like she gets 175 health, doesn't get the 14 strength. Is I guess the aura to help out. Plus 6% in the aura. It's gonna be a lot easier once you get the 25% marksman up.
Or the Gust knockback.
Or the Gust knockback.
It sounds crappy. Really good.
Yeah, marksmanship just sounds so much better though.
Yeah, it does. But she's already doing a lot of damage. She's already hitting for 348. I guess you're giving your creeps and your other heroes precision aura, so far more than 25 damage.
Flala was trying to hunt a courier for a short period of time.
It just depends on whether or not she thinks, like, if you're space, the marksmanship is useless, right?
Yeah.
So I think, like, by getting Gust back, you're actually giving yourself more marksmanship uptime, which it kind of depends on how strong she is relative to the DK and the Luna. But, like, the DK's job is to, like, get on top of the Drow Ranger to stop her marksmanship aura, and I think this is going to be much easier for him, especially when he gets the level 25 talent, the 2x Dragon Blood HP regen. That talent is ridiculously good, especially if they don't have a Silver Edge, which I don't see any signs of them building yet. I don't know if it's going to get to that point, but it is something to consider later on, 10-15 minutes into the game.
Well, Drow Ranger is probably the only one out of their entire lineup that would actually build such a thing.
Yeah, I think Slark could if he finishes BKB. I think
he's still been working on that BKB for the last 15 almost.
Yeah, he has his hammer, and then he'll have his BKB recipe but I think that he could also get an AC. I think AC might be just more standard.
It would allow WG if like a little bit more strength in the fight, but then when the push comes high ground time, then it's just gonna shred apart the Execration base. Drow Ranger's also got the Talisman of Evasion now. She can buy the full butterfly, but wouldn't have buyback if she did it. So it's just saving a little bit of money for the moment.
Radiant's top tower is
Yeah, she only needs a few hundred gold for the quarterstaff, so definitely don't think it's worth her buying right now, although it is a very big power increase.
Creation. They want to come out.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
All the waves for them are already fairly pushed out, so WG will be as aware that this 5-man maneuver is on the way as they walk right over the top of the Dire Observer Ward. So they leave the Lunar Illusions to push in the mid. But yeah, okay, WG know that something is up. They're already starting to back away.
Yeah, Kangaroo's ready to pop the smoke and then just blink 4-step out. He will protect the 4 heroes on the top side. Now the only vulnerable hero is Nana on the bottom, which Execration are all heading for. Can they blow him up? He has a Lincoln Spear, so it's like
they have to be quick. Like, he's got both Blink, Lincolns, and Leap. That's a very difficult target to get, and now they may even just use him as bait because WG, they 4-man smoke up. And they're looking for the fight. It's like they want to take this fight.
Well, this is a good position for them to take, as long as they know where the Tidehunter is. However, they don't know where the Sand King is. Sand King is pretty far in the back. I don't know if he's going to hide in the trees.
They see Nana. Quick sentry ward down. The Observer Ward gets planted by WG, so they got some good shooting from the side. They know that Execration is sitting in the trees. They jump forward, they wait for the bait forward. SK Gust well off target. The arrow flies forward. It's a 5-second stun over on DJ. This is the opening maybe WG wanted. Defensive disruption must come out with Arkin beating the Nando. Now the Ravage. It comes over. The damage is there, but it's only on the one hero. It's only on the Platypus, maybe with the SK reaching the Drow Ranger. She doesn't have a Hurricane Spike up. She'll fall. There's no buyback for either of the heroes. Even Gabby blinks on the hillside. He'll get the retreating Kangaroo, and now maybe they can do some damage into the base.
Well, they thought they had way better positioning because of the Tidehunter getting hit by the arrow. Perhaps they wanted to go in. Drow Ranger used her foresight to get back the damage, but then she just ate a epicenter burrow strength because she didn't actually BKB the Ravage. And that was Arrow.
Nana goes to a quick pick, and we get on the SK, not possible. Dazzle doing the regen. Not to mention the shallow grave save, and then the quick BKB TP away to safety. That's an 8-second BKB. Just to try and create a little bit of space with one pick-off.
Yeah, and this should be the Luna's Butterfly after winning that last fight.
In fact, it is. She's over in the stash. She's got the rest of us sitting on in her own backpack.
And Roshan just respawned. Nando had a dominate creep in there, but he just dominated a wolf. So only the Radiant side know that Roshan is up.
Go for me.
WG will have to go over and scan pretty soon.
Yeah, even with the Butterfly, the Drow Ranger is very flimsy, I would say.
Yeah. And they're pumping up for more damage. They don't have any real major stat items. They get 2.1k on her. She still didn't finish with the Manta. You didn't get any other, like, big life item apart from what's inside the Hurricane Pike.
It's because she committed very heavily to physical damage, which is probably not the greatest idea, I would say, versus the Dazzle and the Dragon Knight. I think the Ag's Maelstrom would scale way better. I think they would have a much rougher time in a 15 to 25 minute, but now they have tons of armor items. It's also not good for BKBs, but it also helps you farm a lot faster. So it's just kind of a difference in builds. And they don't have that many range heroes. They only have 3. Shadow Demon's pretty much not going to be right-clicking heroes ever. So it's only 2 heroes, which I think the marksmanship build isn't as mass agility.
SD just gets more farm by creating the illusions to the Drow Ranger. That's how he's getting all of his.
But you already have a good target in the Luna to disrupt.
Yeah, the time. Instead of actually buffing up your Drow Ranger so she becomes that target. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, like, if you'd see the Aghanims and Maelstrom, like, just to get rid of any kind of a... even the Mantra illusions of Luna are causing issues.
I think it would have been better. Sometimes even like small things like the Mjolnir proccing on a blink target in the far back can just completely ruin your fight, and that happens more often than you think.
That's true. Like, there's nothing to really stop the Tidehunter from getting his jump in every time, and they look to do another one. Nana, they trick off the Lincoln Spear. There goes Ravage on the backline. SD gets hit pretty hard by that one. The BKB allows Nana to jump away with the Moonlight Shadow. Maybe they can get some distance down. WG. They already lost that SD who sacrificed himself.
That was a very necessary play, though. Your Mirana's buyback is way more important than Shadow Demon right now.
But this will allow Execration to jump into Roshan. WG, with scouting arrows, they should be able to do something about it. The buyback comes, they TP over towards the shrine, triggering up early. DJ in very, very close. The arrow flies in. It only hits on Roshan after he jumps in deep too. Remember, DJ doesn't have that Ravage this time around. So they leap forward, let that starfall damage do its work. But you've already lost your Slada, and Nando wants to keep these pounds going if he can. They're hiding inside the pit. Well, Mountain is there. Kangaroo, the damage is too much. Archie burrows right through. They're coming at the Drow Ranger do the damage. It's all Execration with the epicenter, killing them off in the trees. The TPs continue to come in towards the shrine. They're isolated there as we get a quick pause. DJ stopped moving, and that may be one of the primary reasons, but they keep wanting to fight underneath the shrine. WG have committed to this.
Very tense moment in the game as WG commit mass buybacks and probably plan their next attack. They're all around the shrine.
WG, they want to go. Let's go straight back into the game right now. Execration and WG will start back in. DJ, he's actually just trapped inside the tree line there. Another Burrow Strike into the Shadow Demon. Loses beam. It's like X-Nova just can't move. The Spike Carapace doing some work for Gabby. His BKB is up and Nana is losing his life too quickly. The arrows are almost meaninless and DJ is taunting in the middle of the fight. WG doing so much of this, and now they've got salt in the wound courtesy of the Tidehunter.
They were really waiting to take that fight. The Drow Ranger was actually pumping out incredible amounts of damage because of the 100 attack speed on the Muerta. She was level 25 before the first fight started, but they actually just don't have enough damage against the Weave and the AC on the DK. He's sitting at 42 armor and he's almost level 25 now.
This may be a nice little one to have. Fix the stats using the Spike Carapace to get a nice little stun. Unless the Drow Ranger finish up the job. Some breathing room is all they really get for this, but you can see Execration on the top lane. They're headed for the melee racks.
Muerta's next for 80 seconds.
They buy back the SK. This is a trade-off, so SK has to defend on the bottom lane. Drow Ranger's gonna be pretty quick about this, but they're actually going for tier 4 towers. Execration, they want to end this right now, if possible. The Drow Ranger's going for the tier 4 towers. We've got ourselves non-match and base trades. Unfortunately for WG, they don't have the numbers, they don't have the power, they don't have the strength. They really don't even have this game unless they can defend at the moment. Ravage, 9 seconds until it's back on cooldown, and in comes the Eclipse. How less damage. A lot of it onto Arfu. He's getting ripped apart by the Moonblade. No buyback to Alpha WG, and they call it out. Execration will take